If you get disconnected at any point, feel free to head over to the YouTube channel. You can check out the live stream there. As always, we're going to have some updates from ourselves, from Pierre and the product team, and then we'll move into audience Q&A. Feel free to use the Q&A functionality at the bottom of the screen to type out your questions during the session. We'll also have the section at the end where you can raise your hand to come on stage to ask a question. To raise your hand, there is a reaction button at the bottom of your screen. In there, there's a raise hand emoji that you can use. Before we kick off, though, just the quick disclaimer preview, as always. And then one event I want to shout out from the marketing team, and I'm sure Andrew will probably add some words on this at some point. But next week, same time as this event, we actually have a masterclass based around Google Vacation Rentals. We've actually got a few members of the Google team joining us for that event. They're going to be joining Andrew, talking through all the benefits of Google Vacation Rentals, how to get started, reasons you should be using it for your direct website. And there's obviously going to be kind of a Q&A section there as well to answer any questions that you might have. Highly recommend checking that out. You can scan the QR code to head to the registration page now, or use the short URL at the bottom of the screen. And I'll just hang fire on that screen, but Pierre is going to be up next to talk Vrbo.
Yeah, happy New Year to everyone. May this year bring you plenty of success. And without further ado, we're talking about Vrbo as the first subject of the year. So how lucky are we to be talking about this again? So it's coming from, obviously, a few reactions on our Facebook group, but obviously we monitor that internally. So as the year is just starting, I thought that would be interesting to have a bit of a recap about the status of a Vrbo integration, because of course, that is a subject that keeps coming up, and for a very good reason. First thing, as you can see in the next slides, is that how do we integrate with Vrbo? We don't have, indeed, an official Vrbo API integration. We are going to engineer their mobile API that they are using for their mobile app, so the owner app for Vrbo. We are able to simulate a session similar to what you will be experiencing. We just retrieve the API responses that Vrbo is retrieving.
Oh, we've just lost audio and you
Am I still with you?
Now you are, you're back.
That's me a little bit. So that's how we are integrating with Vrbo. We are getting all the data from their mobile application. It's definitely not an ideal way of working things, but that's also not something that's really specific to Hospitable. That's something that a lot of industry vendors are doing or have been doing. And the leader, so I mean the leader in the space, no, but more like OTAs have been progressively working on making sure that the vendors are working with an official API integration. It's not exactly the best way to get started. The idea, though, is that that's not also the desirable outcome. So let me talk to you about the challenge that you may have noticed in the past few weeks, which is about disconnection. So is my account being disconnected? That's the internal graph that we are monitoring. There are lines of a different color, red and yellow. The red is actually the hard disconnect when you actually have a change of password. There's nothing we can do about that. We need to re-authenticate. But there is also the yellow line, which is the line where we actually have a bit of logic to do so. And that is really based on soft disconnect. So we are retrying, or there is maybe a 2FA issue that we cannot go through. You need to receive a code so that Vrbo reconnects you. This is not specific to Hospitable. Again, this is something that we are in touch with other vendors in the industry that are asking us for advice, and we're solving those challenges. So there is really a lot of help in the industry to solve that. And again, nothing of that is specific, including on the disconnects, something that is mandated by Vrbo's application themselves. When they're noticing something is a bit odd, or simply they want to refresh the access token. So that means the way you get to authenticate your Vrbo account. You do that on your own relatively seamlessly, but obviously when it is unhospitable, it has a potential of hijacking your operations because there are messaging that's dependent to guests and reservation that need to be captured and blocking your calendar. So we are very aware of that. In the past few months, and the year is starting already quite well, there's been a few changes on the Vrbo side that forced us to respond reactively to the challenges that were thrown in our way. Starting, I think, from December, I may be wrong, it may be actually even a bit earlier, Vrbo started to fingerprint devices. So that's where it gets a bit technical, and I'm very happy that we have an engineering team that's on top of those things. basically, Vrbo is trying to detect traffic that is not organic and is not genuinely coming from a human. That obviously has an impact on our own ability to integrate with your account and retrieve the data that we need. The latest row of those changes were really about changing the order of specific ciphers, inspecting the way we do an SSL handshake with Vrbo servers. All of that is definitely very technical for a lot of us. It's basically something that we were able to respond in a matter of hours, if not days. And this is something that's been handled, but unfortunately, in the meantime, there may have been issues for you to be reconnecting or retrieving information for your Vrbo account. There were also, separate from that, two different changes from Vrbo's API. Now, the mobile team at Vrbo is often changing the experience or the performance of some endpoints. And as a result, we need to react to it and find the information elsewhere. So that was the case, I believe, so 20 days ago from the status page. That was just about 20th of December. There was a change on the user details that actually impacted Vrbo themselves. So there was an outage on Vrbo where you could not access Vrbo at all. And on January 6th, so that was just a few days ago, we had a properties endpoint, so an endpoint for retrieving the listings that you have listed on Vrbo that also has disappeared. And so we need to simply look for that same information elsewhere on the Vrbo API. So with something that we are used to basically responding, it takes about 40 minutes for us to find the alternative and a few hours to push a fix into production. There are definitely quite a few things that we can do and that we have done to make it a lot easier for us to have a stable connection with Vrbo. It's something that I'm hearing that we've seen or noticing quite a bit is, for example, retrying authentication with your password. This is already something that we're doing. So as soon as we have information that shows that your Vrbo account is disconnected, we already retry to reconnect it in a measured way over time so that a Vrbo outage is also not impacting that ability. There are some things that we are already changing. So since yesterday, it's now easier when your password has not changed, which is something that we can know. Vrbo is just presenting what's called a 2FA challenge. Then we present you just with that 2FA challenge. So that's a button when you're being asked by Vrbo to request a code that you receive by email or on your phone number, and then you type that code, and then you go straight over to the next screen, which would be, for example, a screen selecting some markups. So from now on, you're no longer being asked a password unless we believe that the password may have changed, and we just have one click, 2 clicks, 3 clicks to basically go through getting your account reconnected. There are some work items that are already being created since, which is that we want to send you directly a notification from a mobile app so that you can click on it and immediately go to the 2FA validation. Right now, you need to go to either a mobile application or to the web application to get to that TFA, and there are a few steps. We want to basically make sure that we are cutting short all the steps that we can. The thing, though, we saw this connection problem, and there was Carol asking the chat to host, can you integrate with Vrbo? We want Vrbo API official integration. I want to keep the record straight. I've worked on finding if there is a bigger font I can use. We want a Vrbo integration. Actually, we've been wanting an integration 3 times by now. And this is we are basically in the 3rd attempt to get a Vrbo integration. Now, a Vrbo integration is a big word, and for a lot of people, it may seem like the end of all connection problems. It's not exactly as easy, and some of our customers that have been collecting their listings on Vrbo according to that integration know that it's not without challenges. For a long time, you needed to have a certain number of listings to be able to integrate. Now that's something that has changed, but it's something that still is having an impact operationally on Vrbo to connect because the connection is done manually by Vrbo staff. They're working on automating it, but it's still a bit clunky. It needs to be fast to connect. We're already seeing frustration from users, and I believe rightly so, about the Google Vacation Rental, the time it takes to integrate and publish your listings on Google Vacation Rental. It takes about the same time for Vrbo to integrate with your listing. So there is no password credential being exchanged. That's great. But at the same time, if it's somebody on Vrbo side that needs to connect and map your listings on their backend, this is also not great. And we want to be able to show the value of Hospitable faster, not in a slower way. And the third thing, we also want an integration that doesn't require a change of behavior or a complex setup. We have fought with Airbnb for quite some time to be able to achieve that. And Airbnb, because they are a tech company and with a culture of innovation, has really listened to us and created an integration that was really specifically doing just that. So no change on instant booking behavior, no change of payment processing, no change on what you can access on Airbnb whenever you connect your Airbnb account. And would love for Vrbo to be doing the same. But ultimately, we're ready to do the lift, and it's going to be up to the professionals in the space to basically recognize that this is not an Hospitable problem. This is a Vrbo problem, which they are aware of. But we are also uniquely positioned to lift to the work there. That's my next slide, especially for customers that are familiar with the challenges of a Vrbo integration. We really think we can be a great Vrbo partner. A lot of property management software are objecting against working with the Vrbo integration because they need to offer a solution in terms of merchant of record. That means processing payments. It's requiring obviously some PCI compliance work. Not a big deal, but it needs to be done. And whereas in our case, we've already have direct premium and direct even basic that solution to be a merchant of record. So we are very excited to do that because we can provide payment processing for your Vrbo reservations in a way that's easy and doesn't require you any friction or any developing a payment processing expertise, which is what we're dealing with. That goes for payment processing, that also works for taxes, which Andrew is also working right now to make things a lot easier and faster for you. We also believe we can speed up the connection process in the same way that we have been doing it for Booking.com and obviously in the past for Airbnb, so that it's more user-friendly. Now, unfortunately, if Vrbo is not able to connect in a fast way on there, and whenever there is a new owner connecting with them, that's something that's not possible for us to fix. But we want to advocate for Vrbo to adjust that. And we can bring the Vrbo API to everyone because Hospitable is a product that is meant to be democratic and is working for owners, for self-managers, for hosts, for real estate investors, and for property managers alike. And we believe that there is no point in spending your hard-earned marketing dollars like Vrbo is doing to acquire Airbnb superhosts if you cannot retain them, because ultimately then you don't have a great software experience to retain them, and expecting some messaging or some hosts to message manually or manage the prices manually, etc. Or have to go with a very expensive, not user-friendly solution because they're expecting to have property manager who are professionals interacting with software. So we think we're uniquely positioned. We thought for a long time during the past few weeks that actually we lost the contact that we had at Vrbo. Andrew is going to travel over to Madrid to meet that person again. That's a global head of connectivity. I think he's been an advocate internally at Vrbo to ensure that we do have that integration. There is the last time we heard was really a bit of an awkward moment because we were really on track and we're committing on dedicating resources for the Vrbo integration during the first half of this year. And at this last minute, as we were reviewing the API integration and thinking about the organization of the work, where we received a message saying that we were declined after a business review that actually we already passed 2 weeks before. So there is really something going on in Vrbo. We want to help them show the value that Hospitable has. For now, there's nothing that I'm asking our customers to be doing, but I think there's really at one point an advocacy dimension that is not absent from my mind. We want the Vrbo API integration. We want Vrbo to want us as a partner, and we will definitely pay it forward because we will bring the Vrbo API integration to the masses in an easy way that is compliant for the industry. Ultimately, that's completely aligned with the business direction because, as you can see, once you are the merchant of record, it's no longer an OTA booking. This is far closer to the experience of a direct booking because you own everything about the customer. And that is something that we want to go towards as well. So talking about building a product for everyone as democratic property managers alike, there is something obviously that our friends property managers have been asking a little bit, and that's owner statement. So please, property manager in the space, don't get too excited. I just have a poll, a question to ask, as I'm actually in charge of discovering that specific item, and can owner statement be brought over to Hospitable. So Miles, who is the host of this fantastic meeting, can share now the poll with you. There are two questions. The question is, if you are using an accounting software, I realize I didn't phrase the question in a nice way, but if you are using an accounting software, which accounting software do you use? It's a question about technical requirements to basically make something successful. So obviously, it's divided between three most winners in the space: QuickBooks, Xero, and Sage Intacct. Sage Intacct is probably for more sophisticated operations. The second question I asked already on our Facebook group, but I want to have that experience here as well, asking it live, is, oh, where is the money going? Because it's actually more complicated than I thought. First question, the first answer is, I'm an owner, I pay self-managing, so obviously you are collecting all of the reservation income, great for you. Second bullet is, I manage properties, I receive all or most of the funds from the reservations, and I pay owners. That means you need an owner statement. And we want to see what we can do for the payment part. The third thing is, I manage properties, the owner receives the funds, and I invoice owners. It's more of a service provider flow. And we've seen on Facebook that actually 50% of property managers that were indeed present on the Hospitable Host Facebook group were using that particular flow, which is great also for transparency for owners. So, Miles, do we have a good participation on that poll so far?
Yeah, we've got a little over 50%, so I think we can end it there. And I shall share the results.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay, QuickBooks 41%, something else 57%, Xero 2%. So that's fantastic. Seems very easy to know what to do. Now, definitely the Sage Intacts are probably property managers that have more sophisticated operations. It's not even something that we use ourselves. Money flows, owner, happily self-managing, yay, congrats. And for the remainder 40%, yeah, it's 2/3 that are paying owners, so need an owner statement, and 12% that manage properties. So over 100 people who have answered that question. So thank you so very much. I see obviously comments on the chat about Tessa. It's not something I have an easy solution about, so I don't like that answer very much. But yeah, we can look into that. Wave, okay, good, thank you, noted. That's fine. We just need to have something to get started. Here it seems like we have about 40% of users working on QuickBooks Online. Not sure about the other solutions just yet. Thank you very much. And now we have further developments on the parent-child section. Emily.
Hello. How's everybody doing? Happy New Year. I'm excited for the first town hall of the year. It has been a month since we talked, and there is a lot to cover in this one because it's been so long. So parent-child, I know everybody has been anxiously awaiting the release of parent-child. I'm going to quickly cover some of the functionality that we have in place, and then afterwards, I'll share our release plan for that. So the work for this is done. Once this is released, you'll be able to configure parent-child relationships between properties. We're supporting a handful of different scenarios. So like if you have a duplex where the whole house is a duplex and then you rent each side individually, we support that scenario. We also support a scenario where if you have like a really big house and you maybe like list it as a smaller house during weekdays or something like that, and the children need to block each other off, we support that scenario as well, which is cool because that's something Airbnb doesn't support even at this time. So we have some options for you, which is great. After talking to many of you, I learned everybody's doing something a little bit different, and we'll be able to support most of the use cases out of the box. And then of course, displaying like what it is we're doing because of this relationship. So next screen, our release plan. Literally right before this call, I sent an email to about 40 of you You guys had previously signed up for the private pilot by submitting a type form, or you emailed me directly and asked to be a part of that. So if you'd filled out that form or talked to me directly, you've been invited to the private pilot, which we're now kicking off. What we're going to be doing for that private pilot is scheduling one-on-one calls with each of you who've been invited and literally walking through the whole process, watching you configure these relationships and kind of showing you all the different parts of the UI that show what it is that this relationship will now do for you. You can understand the behavior. And then, the purpose of the purpose of a private pilot is really to monitor things really closely and make sure there's no major issues before bringing it to a wider audience. So we'll be doing that as well. We'll really be monitoring, cross-checking, making sure everything is good. And you'll have an easy way to contact us during that private pilot to raise any concerns you might have. So yeah, I'm excited about private pilot. We don't want to go slow here. So if there are no major issues discovered in private pilot, our plan is to hopefully release to the beta host next week. If that's good, we'll plan to release to everybody by the end of the month. That's a little faster than we normally take things through this release process, but we've actually had this functioning on the back end for a while, and some of our own employee hosts have been using this in their account for several weeks without issue. So we're pretty confident going into this private pilot that we'll be able to continue with that momentum and get this out to everyone really, really quickly. So yeah, if you'd signed up for private pilot, check your email, book a slot with me on Calendly. If you didn't get an email because either you didn't sign up for that type form or you were somehow missed, I'm sorry. But the goal is to get this out quickly. So if you can just wait a little bit, that'd be great. And yeah, goal is to get this in your hands as soon as possible. All right, I think I'll pass to Andrew for some updates from the direct team.
Yes, hello. Not too many updates from my side. We still are recovering a bit from, I think, the end of New Year holidays, but quotes, we are going to have it live this week. We're just doing testing on the new functionality. So you would have already seen that manual reservations are a bit smoother now. We are going to recognize returning guests. We've announced that in a previous town hall. What we're testing today, just before this, trying to get it live for the town hall, didn't quite make it, is the actual custom quote experience. So that's being able to look at a quote just as it would appear on your direct website and then alter the quote. You can add additional fees, you could add additional discounts, you can change the nightly rate, etc., and then ship that off to the guest and tell them how much time they have to pay, 24 hours, 48 hours. That experience is almost ready, just a bit more testing to do. And again, we'll ship that out this week. Super excited. I was just on an office hour call immediately before this town hall started and did a little preview for them and got a big double thumbs up from that host. So super excited and excited to hear your feedback in the next town hall about how that's working for you. And then the next feature from there is for the premium host to go ahead and get the verification implemented so you don't have to repeat guest verification on a repeat guest. Otherwise, other updates from Direct, we did implement the estimated taxes for midterm bookings. This is not a huge update, but what was happening is when anyone exceeded the midterm booking regulation for your state, we weren't smart enough to exclude the lodging taxes on that once they cross that threshold. That threshold is different in every state. We did go to school, we got smart on it, and now we remove that. So you are seeing better estimates. We were never actually charging for those taxes in the end because we do a live calculation just before the transaction. But this is a better booking experience, and that work is just the front-loaded work for actually doing more on midterm bookings like we've talked about. So doing recurring payments for people that are staying for more than a month, and you want to bill them monthly for their stay, basically, yeah, the midterm stay experience. That work is going to be starting soon as well. But the estimated taxes are live now. And yeah, just an update on GVR. So as Miles mentioned, we're super excited for the webinar. We do have some pretty high level people from Google that are going to be here. It's going to be a great time to ask about I think different strategy questions, different ways to kind of optimize performance. We've been seeing a lot of improvements. We released this, I don't know, maybe it feels like more than a couple months back, but we're still iterating in the background, doing things like playing with different property types, how those are impacting our performance. I'm showing you the latest performance here. We just had our biggest week of transactions on direct premium by far. So last week we did $357,000 in direct premium transactions for our hosts. We think that's a lot due to what we're seeing in the GVR performance. So we're going to keep working on that. I know some of you might have some issues still getting your listings live. There's a couple support tickets open for that. Those are probably not the best for the webinar. We're not going to be able to do too much debugging on there. So I am getting pinged on those from the support team. We are investigating. Some of them are pretty kind of esoteric problems that deal with like Google business listings and things that are really outside of Hospitable, but we are trying to work with Google to get those corrected. And we really do want everyone to have a good experience. And so far it's been overall in the aggregate, a pretty great experience for our hosts that have been successful getting those listings. And there's a very small amount of hosts that are having issues there, to be clear. Otherwise, looking forward, the other projects that we're working on, payment installments, the engineer in charge of this is going to start, I think, next week on multiple payments. So you're going to be able to tell us if you would prefer 2 or 3 payments, depending on how much lead time we have. And you want 10% upfront, you want another 50% then, and then you want the balance, a week before check. And you're going to be able to specify that whole schedule of payments for us for direct basic and premium, and that'll be a big boost for conversions, hopefully, especially on the bigger items and the longer lead times. Can't wait to get that out. The other thing that's happening in the background, we are very close to having a brand new website builder. What that means for you in practice is probably very small initially, but if you want to know a bit of the context, I won't go quite in much detail as Pierre went to on how Vrbo works. But basically, the website builder has been a bit of a hurdle for us, making big leaps and bounds in progress and really having very compelling website product. So we haven't been able to do much with it. And in the background, we've been doing the hard work to basically replace it. We got stuck with a vendor that really has, I think, limited our ability to progress with that. We have a solution in the background that is about to go live. We're going to actually start replacing some sites pretty soon, crashing them over to the new website program. And once that's live, you're already going to get immediate speed improvements. You're going to get immediate SEO improvements. And then we basically have an open runway to really build faster because we're going to own all of the technology for that. So that's huge. You're not going to notice anything immediately again, but this is really important. And I think in the first half of this year, we really hope to have the just really best in class website implementation for Hospitable. So we're looking forward to that. Third major project, tax filing and remittance. This is complicated. I know some of you have been frustrated that there haven't been a whole lot of updates on this. The only update I can share is we've started to get fined by the Department of Revenues where we are getting registered. So that's good. That's progress. They're aware of us and we're registered. Now we just need to start filing. So that is going to be happening first in Tennessee. And then we wanted to get to other states. Shout out to Chris, who I know you want us to get to Colorado as soon as possible. I'm trying. Colorado is a special place in my heart too. So try and set you guys up. It is dependent on not just special places in my heart, but also where our hosts are most located, where we're doing the biggest transaction volume, where we have Nexus, meaning where, again, the transaction volume determines that, but also where we're capable. Not all states, not all jurisdictions will allow it, but we, it'll be an iterative process. And we hope to have concrete results soon. There's just a lot of moving pieces right now on direct, and we will get there. And with that, I think we're good for direct. I'll see you again in the Q&A later.
Hey, okay, I'm back. I'm going to jump in just for one quick update and then pass it off to Alyssa after this to finish us off. So quick update on Core. So we have 2 new shortcodes available, and these are kind of special shortcodes. So I'll explain what I mean by that. Typically, we have these shortcodes that are pulling in data from other places and dropping them in your messaging rules when you send them to guests, right? These 2 shortcodes behave a little bit differently. These shortcodes, a guidebook shortcode and a rental agreement shortcode, can be populated by you in your property details page. So if you've created your own guidebook, and maybe it's a PDF, or you're using a service that gives you a link to a guidebook, you can go in any of your property details pages in the basics section and drop in that link, and then use the guidebook or similarly the rental agreement shortcode in those messages, and it'll be populated accordingly. But the cool thing about these shortcodes is that if you use a vendor who can maybe customize these at a reservation level, our vendors now have the ability to enrich this information. We don't have any vendors who are doing that today, but we do have some who are building. So you'll hear in the next couple of weeks some announcements of some vendors who are going to be enriching this short code. So the guidebook one is the easiest one to explain. So I'll do that as an example. You can have like a property level guidebook link that you put in there. But if you use a service to generate your guidebook that maybe personalizes this, maybe with the guest name, maybe they have like check-in, check-out details, and they really customize it at the reservation level, they'll be able to integrate with us and send us that reservation specific link that we'll then use to populate that short code. So this is just kind of the beginning, a foundation for a whole new world of short codes and vendors and how they interact with our API and what they can do for you within Hospitable. The goal here is to really open it up and allow all these other awesome services that you guys are using the ability to give us the information that you need from within Hospitable so you can just get a whole lot more done. So new short codes, guidebook, rental agreement, check them out today, and your property details and more are coming soon. Alyssa.
Okay, thank you. So to continue on the core updates, we now do have image upload in the inbox for all Airbnb, well, for all reservations that aren't VRBO. And that is available for all beta users. We are next going to be integrating this for, I'm sorry, I misspoke. It's available for Airbnb reservations. And next we will be opening up for all other channels. And you can just drag and drop any image into any manual message that you're sending to your guests in the inbox. And then later we will also be supporting additional file types. And next we also just released this out to all users, but we have a new quick setup wizard for connecting booking.com properties. We know what a pain that is. And so this should significantly decrease your setup time. It simplifies the connection process a lot. And actually we check booking.com that to see if your properties have the correct settings. And if we detect an incorrect setting, we let you know what that is. We let you know how to fix it. And then you can refresh, after you've fixed it, you can refresh within the connection flow so that we'll recheck to see if everything is correct so that you can finish without having to, leave the connection flow, come back and all of that. That is out to all users now. And then for some big smart locks updates, we are going to be releasing backup codes and code communication messages to all the users very soon. So basically, after really extensive testing of this feature in beta, we want to take the next step and ensure the reliability of your smart locks. So this is going to be a default setting. So on January 23rd, that is when we will be enabling backup codes for everyone's smart locks. For those who aren't aware, our backup codes feature has already been on by default for all users with beta features enabled. It guarantees that a functional code is sent to your guests, even if the initial code setup fails. How it works is if the code that we attempt to set fails, then we'll use that backup code. And for the code communication part, if no code has been communicated at the code start time, which is check-in plus whatever your set buffer is, or if there was an issue with the code that you previously sent using the smart lock shortcode, then we will communicate the code to the guest. Otherwise, our code communication message doesn't need to go out. And there is a help article that you can have somebody pop into the chat here that actually goes into all the details about how this backup code feature works, how the code communication works. And that message for a little while in beta was going out 10 minutes before, but we changed that. It is now going out at check-in plus buffer time. So that's the code start time that you would see. We also implemented auto host guest verification setting for this message. That means that for all of you who have a third-party integration with AutoHost, not our direct booking one, but a third-party integration, you can toggle that on so that even if it's a last-minute booking, you haven't verified that the guest is okay in AutoHost, then we won't send that message with their code. All right, and now for huge news. This is literally hot off the press. The new metrics dashboard that we've all been waiting on for so long is now available to everyone, all users. You can pop over to your dashboard right now. You might have to refresh your page, but click metrics and you will see the new dashboard. I'm just going to walk through some of the features you'll see here. We have statistics and charts to monitor the health of your rentals, as well as some granular filtering filtering of the columns as well for your financial data selection. And there is another help article for a metrics walkthrough that if somebody could put that into the chat, anybody can check that out. Here you can see a little bit more the granular filtering. You can filter in and out different columns. Not all columns are selected by default because that's just a lot of information. So you can select what you want to put in there. You can see all of your reviews. Next page. And we also previously, to view any of the raw financial data, you actually had to send a CSV export. You can still send those CSV exports, but now you can see all that data without having to send the export by clicking onto the details section. Next slide. And this is something that's very nice. You can save those filtered dashboards as views for really easy access later. And access for you, but also it allows you to create public links to those saved views so that you can share that financial data without any need to log in to, let's say, your accountant or any of your owners if you're a property manager. And you can revoke access, of course, to that link at any time. You don't have to worry about anyone accessing it past when you want them to. All right, big updates. So what's next? So for booking.com, we are continuing some improvements there. Very soon, we should have out some improvements to the manual connection, which is the connection where you don't, with the kind of the same connection that we had before. We're going to make some updates there so that you're not going through the whole connection flow, and then at the end you get an email from us saying that it was unsuccessful. Now you'll be able to know within the connection flow, and that'll be out to everyone soon. And the big one that we'll be working on next is allowing occupancy-based rate plans. Now this is the biggest thing that keeps users from being able to connect their listings. And so, and you have to go in and you have to update your calendar and your settings and your rate plans and all of that to get connected. So we're going to allow occupancy-based rate plans. Essentially, we'll be allowing an extra guest fee, same as how you can set with Airbnb, for all guests over your base occupancy. So if you have like a base occupancy of 2 guests, but you allow up to 4, you can say charge $25 more per night for each extra guest. And that would be how that works. And then finally, updates or what's up next for smart locks is we will not immediately, but probably closer to the end of the month or maybe next month, having a locked out question category for detection and response. Actually realized I didn't finish typing my example, but essentially you could do it, say, after check-in. If the guest says a specific, or they actually say I'm locked out or the lock isn't working, then you could send them another kind of backup, like to if you have a lockbox on site or something like that, which is great. If you don't have a smart lock that integrates with us, then you can have some backup to let them know what's going on without you actually having to, say, wake up to do that. We are also working on a devices dashboard to allow all of you to manage your smart devices and smart lock codes all in one place from within Hospitable. and be able to, see when backup codes are used or see when the guest has been able to enter or use that code for the first time, and a lot of other things like that. That'll be a really exciting project. And yeah, that is all for all the core update. I think that's it,
Cool.
Miles.
Thank you very much, Alyssa. So yeah, now we're going to move into Q&A section, folks. So if you haven't already raised your hand and you want to come on stage, head down to reactions at the bottom and use the raise hand function down there. I think we do have a couple of people with their hands raised, so I'm going to move over to them first. So Nate, inviting you on stage. Hello.
Hello. Happy New Year's. I had a few questions. For the lock code stuff, I'm thinking of switching from the August lock to the Slage lock. Will one, my integrations transfer over, and two, the existing codes that are, I guess, set, will that still work for like new upcoming reservations?
You said you're switching from the Schlage to the August lock, so
Other way
I
around, August to
August
Slage.
Schlage. Okay. Yeah, so if you have pre-existing codes on your Schlage lock, whenever you connect with us, all of those codes will remain on there. And anytime a new smart lock is connected, we try to reconcile the codes that are pre-existing on the lock with any upcoming reservations. And that's specifically upcoming reservations, not past or current. If somebody's already staying, they should already have a code. So we will try to reconcile those and match them together. And then if we don't find a match, then we would create a code for all of your upcoming reservations after you connect and match the lock to a property.
Gotcha. And I'm switching here. I guess this is more for Andrew. For the Google Vacation Rentals, I haven't really played around with the direct booking yet, but I'm really excited too. One of the things I had a question around is, our existing reviews from like Airbnb and Vrbo, do we have ways to kind of surface those in our direct channels?
In a sense, yes. Like we don't have really like the permission to use those because they're owned by the OTA. So we're not actually sharing that content directly with Google. But we are sending an aggregate score. So those are definitely required for you to perform well on
Okay.
GVR. So yeah, as soon as you connect it as part of the property data we're going to send over is your aggregate score and the number of reviews that you've had.
Gotcha. And then I guess more for the direct site, some like traditional direct sites, they'll have like the user reviews of their stay.
Yep.
Will those be synced to the Google reviews and vice versa? Like if somebody goes into like Google Maps and like reviews a business, for example, right?
Yep.
Like would those reviews be synced to my direct booking site?
Yeah, I don't have a specific answer, but it goes back to kind of the same concept as, we can only show content that we have permission to show, and most of the owners of that content probably don't want us using it on a competing site.
Sorry,
Ultimately,
my question was more on Google itself, right? Like so if I stay at your direct booking site and I like, oh, this is a great stay, and I review, I don't know if there's even a review possibilities in our current direct,
Yeah.
but if I review, would that be surfaced in Google?
And Google,
Is-
yes. If Google owns
okay.
a review, yes. But also like Google has different business units, right? So this isn't like Google Maps and Google Businesses. This is Google
Gotcha. Okay.
Vacation Rentals. So those are separate. And yeah, as far as vacation rentals go, you're not supposed to be, I'm not saying you are, but in general, hosts are not supposed to be listing those on Google Businesses. This is a Google Hotel Center project
Gotcha.
that we did. But yeah, we also like going to hospitable sites, which is what I thought you were going initially. Sorry.
Yep.
But yeah, with the new site builder, and again, unlocking us to do new functionality. One of the obvious ones for that is we're going to start having, reviews that we own and that you generate for your guests, and that we do have permission to share, so you can start having that content there.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Switching gear for, I think for Emily, for the Vrbo DCs, I know we've had this in the past and it seemed to have resurfaced again. Or at least for me, I've had like multiple DCs in the past months or so. Are we degrading in that functionality?
What does DC mean?
Disconnects. Sorry.
Disconnect. Okay, for the Vrbo disconnect. Were you here at the beginning of the town hall?
No, I think I missed the first little chunk of it.
Yeah, Pierre gave a pretty lengthy, detailed update about that
No
at the
problem.
beginning. if you want to go back and watch. But just like a quick recap, we did do a handful of things to try to make that a little bit better for you, as far as like attempting to reconnect for you in the background, and also like skipping the login screen so you don't actually have to type in your username and password if you need to reconnect. But again, there's a lot more details if you want to rewatch later.
And last but not least, inbox translations. I've gotten a lot of foreign residents that are reaching out, and in Airbnb, like, it gets translated, but the Hospitable one, it doesn't. Is there any thoughts and plans to like do some sort of live translation?
Yeah, we have a plan for everything.
Nice.
We already have a product manager that have prepared some work on it. We have assessed this, and so it's a feature that's ready to do once we have a 15-minute break. And so we are prioritizing based on customer impact.
Awesome.
And so that is one of the things that goes a little bit after the disconnects and other issues that we are solving every day. So it's coming soon.
Thank you.
One day.
That's it for me.
Don't sue us if it's not exactly next week.
Thanks, Nate.
Thanks.
Thank you very much, Nate. Awesome. So apologies for my pronunciation. I'm going to attempt it. Amir, or Amir?
Amir.
Could you let us know?
Hello. Can you hear
Fantastic.
me?
Can you hear?
Yes. First of all, thank you for the great job that you are doing in here. And regarding the previous question, if the translation is coming, if in the future, is it going to be like answered with the AI with the same language that is written, or it's going to be in English? This is an important question regarding the previous question that.
No, so the previous question was really about translating messages that are being received on the inbox, and that's the case for every message that's being received by the guest. And that's just really reusing the content that Airbnb is sending us and generating the content from other OTAs, including direct bookings, as international travel is recovering. The automation itself is already multilingual. It's been the case already since the beginning. We would only send check-in instructions, booking confirmation, and all the messages that are based on a rule if you have yourself configure that language. So we will not feel comfortable sharing a check-in instruction in a language that you have not already reviewed, because we want to make sure it looks genuine. And we can help you that we can already launch a new language, and that will be already automatically translated from Google Translate, so you can launch a new language rather easily. Otherwise, it defaults back to your fallback language, which is ultimately the language your guest is likely to be understanding, based on the based on the geography, basically. From a French founder to the world.
No problem. No problem. Regarding the AI point in here, the AI is really doing great. I am really using it, and it's really perfect. But I have a small comment about it. For example, I had a small case yesterday that the guest is asking for a late checkout. I have tried using the AI several times by pressing it, and it was still giving a confirmation. If I want to write a no, sometimes I am using like a couple of words you can add in the writing box, and the AI can regenerate this answer for us. It would be perfect. Sometimes
an excellent idea.
They're asking for something and we cannot do it. So it would be perfect like this.
Yeah. So what you're going to see happen relatively soon, I think we've got a couple different AI releases before that, but relatively soon. When you enter text, what you're going to see is that reply with AI button is going to change to improve or expand with AI, and it's going to then take your answer. So you can basically prompt the AI. The other thing we're going to do, and this is not confirmed, but the other direction we're looking is we'd like to kind of process the message and decide what kind of question it is. So if it's a choice type question, we'd like to give you the answer to reply yes or reply no. So we can already take that instruction, and that's going to look really nice on mobile when we start putting that in the notification. So you get the message from the guest, and the buttons on that push notification, reply yes, reply no, and we can already then take that context of what you want to answer and then give a nice hospitable answer to the guest that's generated with AI.
Perfect.
Yep.
That's perfect.
Yep. We're on the same page.
Okay. Also, it's something I do live in Turkey. I am dealing from Turkey. Regarding adding a reservation to the system, I have only one option to add it via US dollar. I would like to have several currencies that we can add to the reservation while adding a new booking to Hospitable.
Which channel are you talking? Are you talking about a manual booking or what?
I am entering, yes, a manual booking. I am entering everything. The system is generating the reservation code for it. But I have only one option while I'm adding the price to the reservation. It only has dollars. I cannot change the currency at all because sometimes I'm receiving the money in in our local currency, and I cannot add it like this. So I have it to add it as a dollar, then convert it on my system to my current currency.
I don't have a lot of context on that. Could you submit that as a request for a feature request?
Yes, it would be perfect. Yes,
yeah,
it would be
if you go on
perfect.
Hospitable and you go to the chat bot in there to talk to support, there's also an option to request a feature, and there you can start it, and then other people can upvote that, and we'll take a look. I understand the use case. It's interesting.
Okay, and my last question, I'm sorry for taking so much time. Regarding once we are sending the reports, can we add the notes also, please, to the report? We are adding to the reservation some notes. We are writing some notes in the reservation. If we can add it also, it would be perfect.
You'd want to see that in that reservation financials export?
Exactly.
Okay. Good feature request as well. I think Alyssa has noted that. She's on the call. And yeah, we'll take a look. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank
Have a
you
good
very
day.
much. So now moving on to Anthony, and we'll try and squeeze as many other people in as we can. Hi, Anthony.
Hey, guys. Thanks so much. Real quick, shout out. Awesome metrics. Love it. Been playing with the beta. It's super cool. Thank you. Quotes coming out. Super awesome, too. Locked out the auto AI response or autocomplete, whatever you call it. Yay. And I just saw thermostats in the chat. Double yay. Okay, 2 questions. First one is regarding GVR. I am still seeing when you view on Google, when you see our listing, it does not show availability or pricing. It says view on website.
Okay. Then you are one of the less than single-digit percentage of properties that are not showing pricing right now. And we'll need to investigate that. You've, I think, had your properties on there for quite a while, so that it's not like it's still syncing. It's just it's an issue.
Correct, and it's for all of them. They're all discrete, and they're using custom domains. So okay. That's one. Second is the Hospitable brand that is below that, like where if it had shown the information. Is that something that I believe you guys were going to possibly look into having that be our own brand or something else? Is that still an option? Do I have a problem with that just for my sites or what?
Yes, we're still looking into it. And yeah, it's not a big update. If you're really lucky, and there's a really good engineer, we might save that as an Easter egg or a nice announcement for the GVR webinar next week. But yeah, we are looking at brands. And then even outside of GVR as well. So yeah, we'd love to get them into your emails as well. So you have a consistent brand across those. But yeah, the GVR brands is a good one.
Love it. Cool, thank you. Okay, and then the second question, I went back and forth with Chauffeur on this in the questions portion. I'm trying to figure out what I should do and how I should approach this. So Hospitable is our source of truth for availability, calendar availability, bookings, everything now. We've done away with our old PMS, finally. Challenge is if I have a calendar blocked manually on Hospitable, it doesn't, the iCal that we would use to put into another platform like Alfie will not show the blocks. It only shows the bookings. Right now, what I have to do is I have to use Airbnb or Vrbo to take blocked dates and share that into Alfie, as opposed to my source of truth, Hospitable. I did check it. Airbnb does transfer blocked dates also. But I don't really think we should have to do that, and I don't want to do that. I want my source of truth not to be Airbnb, but to actually be hospitable. Am I thinking about this wrong? Is there a better way? I'm talking about availability and blocks. So if we say we only want 3 months of availability out, that's something we set currently outside of hospitable at the time.
Okay.
At this time.
Can you please
Right,
just
so-
ask me the question when you're gonna integrate with Luffy? That's the question I was expecting. I wanted to start.
well,
I thought you would never
I-
ask, and then you
It
actually
ca-
still don't ask this question. So
It's tied
I was
into it.
literally in the starting block. Okay, finally, Anthony is gonna ask a question about Luffy. So no, it's not that. But for Luffy, it's coming soon. It's coming very soon. They're building the integration as we speak right now. They're validating it. So we are not gonna mess with the iCals and technologies from the 80s. We're gonna have Luffy building the integration with Hospitable API. So you'll be able to retrieve reservations. You'll be able to update your calendar in the same way that you'll be able to do it from Luffy if they want to implement that feature. I know that they have implemented right now, Luffy has implemented a Connect product, which is fantastic for them because it allows them to retrieve listing details and get accurate information directly from Airbnb. Told them that's not a fit for us or Hospitable customers because, of course, you distribute used listing everywhere. So for Luffy, there is an API integration coming. I think for the iCal feedback, nonetheless, is very good. So I don't know exactly the specifics of it, but I think we can hear that and definitely work on a way to push also the block dates. It will appear though as a reservation. It's going to be also very dependent on the receiving party, how they're interpreting it. iCal is not a technology that is good for sharing calendar data at the level that we're expecting it for short-term rentals. So it has to rely ultimately on an API integration. So that's my update. Luffy is coming very soon. I'm managing that almost directly, and it's a very important deal for us. This is the difference of what it happens when you're not talking to us, like a furnish finder, and when you are talking to us, like Luffy. Luffy has now an Airbnb integration through Hospitable, which they are monetizing as part of their light package, and we're super happy for them. They have an Hospitable API integration that will allow them to have real-time connectivity, reservation, etc. So do their job as another distribution platform. And the third piece is more on Andrew's lawn, but we're also really working on making sure that all Hospitable Direct Premium customers in particular can push all of their inventory directly in one click with just as minimal a fee as possible directly from Hospitable without even having to create their Luffy account. So something that we're discussing, something that's depending on availability and prioritization, but we see that as a great opportunity for this quarter and probably the next on distributing your direct inventory to as many channels as make sense, whether that's Luffy for short-term or mid-term rentals as well.
We basically want to create more GVRs if we can, which is the other reason that I'm going to Madrid. And Pierre has promised before that integration goes live, he will learn how to pronounce their name correctly.
To be fair, as a French person speaking a Dutch person, it's very complicated, like words. We should have fewer of them.
It's a common mispronunciation. Yeah, it's house for you.
What's it?
That's the way
Ufi.
this.
I mean, and we have so many people saying slash.
Yeah.
Emmeline said the H is silent, so
it is supposed to be Schlade. In case the H is silent. The H
those
is
are
silent.
good.
Come on, you're telling me that? That's harassment. That's harassment.
Now you're getting
I will
trolled
never
in
be
the
able to
chat.
say hospitable, right? And you're telling me about Luffy. Come on. Yeah.
Thank you for those updates. Those are
you,
awesome.
Anthony.
For now, I'll have to use Airbnb to pull into Howfie specifically to make my calendar
just
work.
be patient. Just be patient. It's not something I would recommend on anyone. I'm not patient myself, but just wait a bit.
That's fine. I'll throw out at the end here that if with widget potential new like look at what they have for widgets. Their widgets for direct they copy it. They're beautiful. They're flexible, and the fact that they have rate comparisons, that is amazing. Picture any direct hospitable site that has a rate comparison against Airbnb and Vrbo built in. Make sure you're talking with him about that, PC, because you guys can really get that together. It would be sweet.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's
Thank
it.
you, Anthony.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Anthony.
Thank you very much. Okay, I know we're at time, but we've got two more people. Let's try and squeeze them in. Jason, you are up.
Jason, what's up? We're not hearing you just now.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, perfect. First question is about the metrics. The overall revenue looks like it's less the Airbnb fee, so it's not reporting 100% of revenue. Is that correct? Just want to confirm.
I'm gonna need Alisa.
Did you repeat the question? I didn't hear it.
The revenue reporting on the new metrics, which are awesome, by the way. It looks like it's reporting minus the Airbnb fee. Is that accurate?
So the revenue will be essentially all the money that has been paid to you or is expected to be paid to you. That includes fees and pass-through taxes if that money is paid out to you. So like a cleaning fee or a resort fee, management fee, things like that, and then the pass-through taxes as well. So it's kind of like it's your gross revenue.
Yeah, okay. Since Airbnb withholds, I guess, the 3% host fee.
Yeah. So that part that they withhold is not going to be in your revenue.
Yeah. Okay. Regarding the AI improvements that are upcoming, first of all, I think that's great. The existing interface today, I've noticed several times. I did not realize there was more message left that I needed to scroll down and see that it was sending my guest, and I've pressed the send button and it sent. Sometimes AI hallucinates, which it's a common phenomenon. But in this case, several times it's sent false information that I've had to walk back. And so I'm essentially asking for some kind of improvement on the interface that either allows us to shorten the messages so we can use some kind of tone control or fine tuning, whether or not we want longer or shorter messages or casual or formal. That first and foremost would be helpful to help match our own style. But before that, some kind of interface showing that there's more message there, because some of these messages replies come back pretty lengthy. So that would be helpful.
Cool. I think that's a very reasonable request. And the one on the tone as well is something we're looking at as well. So cool.
And one last stretch request. You guys familiar with a company called Guest Guru?
Generally, they do apps, or what's the
background? So it started as an AI. It was like, call it the first AI responder for Airbnb. They integrated in with Airbnb as a co-host, and effectively at the time I was an advisor for that company, and they've since sold to another company. And I believe at one point they did speak to you guys. But what I'm getting at is their interface, the way they executed leveraging AI was extremely helpful. And I'm very sad that it's gone. But essentially what they were doing was, if you get a message from Airbnb, they would intercept that message, wrap it into an SMS, a text message, and then also provide the proposed response in that text message. And it would forward it to us, or to me. I was using it for several months on all my properties. And it would allow you to reply with a short code, like reply with 1 to confirm and send this message, or reply 2, or you can modify the message. And so essentially, all the communication for my properties was happening inside my iMessages, where I already lived with my other communications. And so it allowed me to address complex messages on the fly. It was super helpful. And I realize that's a departure from where we're at today. But putting it on the radar, if you guys have even looked at growing the AI communications outside of the Hospitable platform. Not sure if that's in your best interest or not, but I did want to put it.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I don't see that as being the direction we're going, but we definitely are thinking about the mobile use case and how to make it as effortless as possible to respond to communication on the go. I touched on some of that in the updates when we really want to have the options in the push notification to you. We've got to do a couple updates to the mobile app before we can do that. But yeah, having the option to reply with AI, reply yes or no if it's a choice type question, and then immediately jumping into the inbox where you have all that context that you wouldn't have in iMessage, and being able to edit the message, change the tone, all of those things. We are throwing a lot more resources at improving that AI experience, and especially in mobile. So yeah, I think you're going to have a lot that's going to make you happy over the next couple months here.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks for the time and thanks for all the work. Appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you very much, Jason. And then just finally to wrap it up, Renee, we've got a little bit of time for you. I know you've been waiting. Hello.
Hello, Renee. I'm not hearing you right now.
Can you hear me okay?
Perfect.
you hear
Now
me?
we
You can now?
hear you.
So
Can
I'm a relatively new user, but have used Vrbo and Airbnb for a long time. So in general, one question about just needing more support to use all your features and seeing what makes sense, how somebody can walk me through that, or if you don't offer that service, how I could speak to, some of your, heavy users, because I'm finding that to be a frustration that, I just can't move forward with some of your features because I just don't know how to do it. So for example, parent to child is one where I know I didn't hear it at the beginning, but if I do a direct booking and I want to book my parent and children, it only seems to block the parent, and that's the same issue I have on Airbnb, and that's why one of the reasons why I switched to you guys. So that you're aware of, or
Yeah, I mean, if you're specifically talking about parent-child, that is not a feature that is available today, except for a very, very small handful of users. We just launched that in private pilot just before this webinar. So that is going to be hopefully a lot more intuitive than it works now, which it doesn't work now. So,
okay, so
yes,
I mean, right now I have to block it and all.
yeah.
Like
It's not
Airbnb
supported.
has-
Yeah.
Okay. So when will it be supported? Or
well, it's in private pilot as of about an hour ago. And
Okay.
as soon as it goes through that, it's actually been in an internal private pilot for a couple months now. So it's pretty close. Emily, do you have a more refined
the way
ETA?
I was just going to say, Renee, I'll invite you to the private pilot. I'll send you an email now and we can set up a
Okay.
call to get you set up.
Perfect. So that and it would be helpful if I can get a call to just help
Yep.
me. And then I have a question about transmitting info to the housekeepers that they have access. Is there a way to put everything on a spreadsheet? To say here's a spreadsheet of incoming guests. Do you have that feature? So
Not as a
Um,
spreadsheet, but I would say better than that. If you have teammates set up and you have tasks assigned to them, then you can actually send out an email, or we can automate an email that goes out every day and says all of the tasks that are assigned to them for the coming week. And then that way, reservations come in, you don't have to worry about like creating a new spreadsheet.
Right, but I'm finding that where the frustration is, that means that they have to check their emails each week. I almost want to give them something now that says for the next 6 months, here are all my bookings, here are all the dates. Yes, when changes are made, it's up to them to check, but is there a way to, except for the ribbon view, is there a way that they could put it in their system more easily?
I guess you could do an export of your tasks if you really wanted to like go way out. Yeah.
Even before, just go for something a lot simpler, which would be exporting the reservations. So you can do that through Matrix. Just launch now. I mean, you could do that before, but now you can do that as well, and circulate that spreadsheet with all the notes that you want to edit yourself as well. So that's I think the best way to do things, because I don't think it's about creating a setup. There are plenty of features that a product is doing, but for solving the problem today, that is an export of reservation details.
Is there a way you can email me that as well? The the details of that, or is it that
Wh-
simple?
What you can do, Renee, is if you go into Hospitable and you click on the support documentation link, I'm not going to send you there, but if you click on that link, there's also an item to give feedback, and there you can book office hours, and you are welcome to book time with me or any of the other product managers, and we can walk you through whatever questions you have on a call, and you can give us that feedback in a one-on-one environment. We can do screen shares and help you out with that.
Oh, that'd be great. I couldn't figure out how to even get that far.
Yep. So it's just that question mark with the circle, the support doc link in the bottom left corner of Hospitable. Click there and then click the give feedback, and you'll see an opportunity to book office hours, which are open to all, but they are limited, of course, as we don't have unlimited time.
Right, perfect. And is there an easy way to see how to set up my own website and put your links on a website? I assume you have that. It must be easy. Is
Yeah,
that
well,
part of
you
that
can
as
start a
well?
chat with we've got a dedicated direct support team. So if you start a chat through support with them, they'll pick up your chat and they can answer any questions you have, or even get on a call with you to help you with the direct site.
Okay, perfect. And are there any mega users that we could look at their websites to see what they look like as a user?
We do.
Any
Yeah,
sample
so I shared in the chat, and I'll just share it one more time. We have a Facebook group, so I recommend you join the Facebook group. That's really good for learning from fellow hosts and seeing their kind of best practice use cases.
So I will see you there, Renee. Thank you everyone for your questions. It was a very busy, plenty of updates. Parent child is in private beta, guys. That has happened. Matrix is live. That's happening. So I'm looking forward to seeing you in 2 weeks, where we'll share even more updates, and we'll be monitoring everything and the issues happening on the way. Thank you so very much. Happy New Year. See you in 2 weeks.